So, we are working on the Celica again today. Last time, tried to do an oil change, went horribly wrong, found out the rocker cover gasket was leaking. So today, we're going to fit some coilovers. Yeah, I thought that'd be a good idea. Let's do that instead. So, just to condone my actions, the suspension on this is not great. I know there are pressing matters to do with oil, but we're not ignoring those. But yeah, she's not great. Also, just completely off topic, this was recommended by a mate of mine and it's been absolutely life-changing. So if you're ever working on cars, get some like skateboard knee pads and smack them on, because it will change your life, basically. So step one, obviously, jack the car up and then we'll get this wheel off. I have already cracked these off with the breaker bar before anyone panics. So the theory goes, that bolt and that bolt, this bolt here to take the brake line out. This bracket is already a part of the new coilovers, so I haven't got to worry too much about that, but we'll see when we get them on. And then these three bolts at the top, whole strut should come out, hopefully. Another good thing as well, if you've got little bolts like this working all in one area, get a little metal dish with a magnet in it so you can't lose them, because I always lose them. So one other thing you need to unbolt, which I forgot to say, this is the ABS model, so it has the ABS sensor, so that's also bolted onto that bracket. When I'm doing stuff like this, I mean this has been off fairly recently, because I fitted the braided lines a little while ago, but old crusty 25-year-old bolts, I always try and use a 6-sided socket, because it's just far less likely to round stuff off, because then you have a bad day and your 1-hour job becomes a 6-hour job and no one's happy. So there is one more thing I'm going to take off. I've got everything off needs, bolts out, top bolts undone, but it's hitting the drive shaft, so I'm just going to take the... Why every time I film, words escape my face. This thing here, steering arm, ball joint, split pin, castle nut, undo, hit, pop, remove, done. I don't know how much of this is actually going to end up being filmed, but it's this ball joint here. See the nuts off of there. If you hit this, it should pop out. We'll see if that theory holds true. I don't want to hit it here, because it'll damage the threads. So hit it on the side here and it should free itself. There you go. So you see there, that was jamming up on top of the CV joint there on the boot. Should be fine. Taking that off, how much more movement, you can just move the whole hub out the way, and then that's now free to drop from the bottom. I'm not going to do it one-handed, so yeah, we'll grab that now. So there we go, there's old versus new. The sheer size of the thing. This setup does a minimum 25mm drop, so at its maximum extended height, it should be 25mm lower than standard. Pretty much perfect what I'm aiming for. I'm not making this a stance car, this is the get me to work car. So it still needs to be usable. So I'm hoping 25mm is not going to be too bad. There you go, see that bracket's all a part of the new assembly. Slightly different layout, but same, eh? I'm going to max these out in height. We'll stick them on. Look at the height afterwards. See if it's too low, see if it's too high, see what we can get away with. And yeah, go from there. So just while these are out, we're going to give them a quick wire brush. This is like the lazy, sketchy, gonna hurt yourself method of doing it. But yeah, we're going to do it anyway. So I'll put some grease on it before it goes in. But yeah, there you go, just clean the threads out. If you're doing that, I don't recommend it, but if you are, make sure it's on like undo, so anything caught in the threads themselves gets pushed out rather than pushed in. But also don't do this because it's dumb. Yeah, just like clean it properly. Don't do this, it's stupid. Yeah, so same with the nuts. Again, really stupid. Don't do this. I mean, it works, but just don't do it, eh? Amazing. Probably, so this is one of these things. I grease everything as much as possible because at some point, if I have to take it back off again, I've done myself a favour. It might not be necessary. It's just what I do. So I'm just going to put a bit on. Most of it's going to come back off anyway. But it just gives me peace of mind that if this has to come off again at any point for any reason, it's not going to be a pain in my ass. Get some inside the bolts as well. Cool, that'll do it. And we'll chuck them back on. So we've got a halfway in, just nip these up just to keep it in place. And then left this loose so we've got a lot of movement. We'll put the thing back in and the bolts, and then this, it's easy enough. It isn't too bad. Just make sure all the wires and stuff end up where they need to be, and that should be fine. We'll see. So that's about where that wants to be. Chuck a bolt in it and she's good. Can't be that easy, right? Nothing's that easy. This is me. No, not even that. Why? Things are supposed to be difficult. Why aren't you being difficult? I'm alarmed. I'm distressed. How easy this is being. There we go. Yeah, normally things go wrong, like really wrong, like drastically and hilariously wrong, and this isn't. It's just kind of working. So yeah, there's that. That's good. That's really good. I am pleased. I'm just very uncertain. So one thing I have found is that with this new setup, there is a bolt hole for the ABS line. There isn't one for the brake line, but there is this little notch, which I think that's meant to sit in. It doesn't quite reach, but it's all worked out okay. Because what I'm going to do is, see, that's the original bolt for it. Come on. There you go. Right, that's the original bolt for it. It's very short. What I'm going to do is just send a nut and bolt through it, and it should latch onto that little notch, and it should be stable. So one thing I did forget is that I bought these coilover socks. Probably should have put them on beforehand, but I reckon there's enough room to get to the top of that without too much trouble. And they do cable tie on as well, so we should be okay. Anyone that's worked on old, crusty, second-hand coilovers will know why these are important. These go rusty, they collect dirt, and then you can't adjust anything. They just become like a seized shock. They're a pain. They're a massive pain. So these, for like 30 quid, just get some. It will save you so much trouble in the future. There you go. Cable ties on, nice and protected, covers all the threads. Means you don't have to spend 3 days getting dirt out of your threads to adjust your coilover height. Cool, and because it's Velcro and it unzips, in theory, you can still adjust the heights, like final adjustments, whilst these are on, which is good. So yeah, good investment. Cool, wheels back on. It's not overly tightened, I'll worry about that in a minute, but moment of truth, drop her down. Gently, gently. Or just send it into orbit, I don't know, it's whatever, hey. That's got more arch gap than before. Okay, we can lower that, it's fine. Yeah, there you go, one coilover done. Many more to do. Many more. That was settled down anyway, but yeah, I guess it's slightly lower. I don't know, I'll have to check footage, but let's say compared to the back, how much of an arch gap there is. Taking some of it out. I'll lower it a bit more anyway. Like I said, it's a daily, it still needs to be usable. It just needed to handle slightly better. So there you go. So the back one's going to have more stuff attached to it. So the brake hose, ABS line. I don't know why it loops over like that. That's weird. Very weird. And the anti-roll bar drop link as well. I can see that being a problem, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it in like 30 seconds. I wasn't even filming. Ha, I'm hilarious. So the setup for this is a 17mm spanner. Got to use the open end, so you the loop end, sorry. We don't have to, but it's probably easier. Allen key through the middle that holds this steady, and then you crack the nut off with the thing. And because Toyotas are absolutely amazing, that wasn't seized, which blows my mind. Best car, well done Toyota. Okay, so for the ones at the top on the rears, there's a little access panel. You can get, you can't get a ratchet in there, but you can get a swan neck spanner. These are 12mm. I've already cracked the one at the back off. They're not horrifically tight. So yeah, just go easy, don't do any damage, and they'll come out all right. So there's new versus old. All the brackets. Oddly, that one goes that way and that one goes that way. But apart from that, hopefully there's enough play in the wires to get that seat, which there was in the fronts. So cool. And there you go. Obviously that's basically bottomed out just for shipping, so they don't have to put it in such a big box. But I'll raise that up and then we'll go from there. As with all things in my garage, there's probably a better way of doing it, but this is what we've got. So that is just to measure. So in there I've gone up to the top of the threads. So they're seated now about yay far in. That's going to sit down in there. Mark where it sits. We'll back that down 25mm. I'll mark it out on here, 25mm. Whack it on, see how low it is. We can always adjust it. This is gross up in here. Years of neglect. It's horrendous. I'm going to clean this out a bit before I put anything back in. It's on me. Oh, that's grim. So that's all the bottom ones done on this side now. That bolted back in was absolutely fine. That, again, didn't have the hole to put the nut through. To put a bolt through, sorry. So just pinched it up on the bracket. It's tight as, it's not going anywhere. Everything down here is tight. Yeah, that went back in. That I forgot to do and then did after the fact, but it's all good. So I think everything down here is good to go. Put the jacket on first this time. So that's all good. And yeah, tighten the top, drop it down, see how low it is. There you go, wheels back on. Haven't tightened up the wheel nuts, but we're just going to drop it down. See how low she goes. Shouldn't be too bad, but the stock arch gap's horrendous. He's back on all 4 wheels. So exactly the same on this side. I'm going to go back first, then front. I'm not going to film it unless something drastic happens, which is me. So I'll see you when something drastic happens. Cool, that's that one done. Lowered a lot more than the other side because the other side's way too high. So we'll see where she ends up. Yeah, see, that's more like it. That's about right. I'm going to whip the other side off and lower it, but that's about where I want us to be. Cool beans. One left. Took a lot longer than expected, but she's back on the ground now. It's not leveled off. This hasn't settled yet, but the rest of it kind of has. So it's not looking too bad. I mean, I'll drive it around for a little while, put some miles on her, and then we'll double check everything, make sure it's all good, make sure nothing falls off. And yeah, I reckon that's job done. I'll get some daylight footage as well before I end the video, because you can't see shit in the dark basically. So we're back now in the cold light of day. It doesn't look too bad, it's nowhere near level, not even close to it. That needs to come down. I think that's about right. It was never going to be too low. That was never the aim of the game. It was just purely getting rid of that old creaky suspension. Yeah, it's about the same on this side. Maybe the back can go down slightly, but the fronts definitely need to come down more. So yeah, that's the job for today. Also have some other bits to do today, but I'll probably put them in a separate video. So whilst we're adjusting this side as well, one other thing to be very aware of is that fitting a whole new suspension, coilovers, whatever it may be, it's going to throw your tracking out. Could be a little bit, could be a lot. Mine was out quite a bit. We've adjusted most of it. It's almost good, but this corner is towing in slightly, so I'm having to steer slightly this way to counter it. So what I've done is set the steering wheel straight. It's not really going to matter, it's just going to be eyeballed. We're going to adjust the toe out slightly, probably, I don't know, quarter of a rotation, maybe half a turn, but we'll do that now and we'll see when I'm back in and driving it. Hopefully that would have made it a bit better. So to adjust the toe, we're going to crack this locking nut off, back it out slightly, and then we're going to wind this into the track rod, into the tie rod, to pull that in, which will pull that out. So if you think that's the pivot point, if you're moving that back, that's going to come forward, that's going to tow it out, and that hopefully should straighten off our steering wheel. So we've got that done. Anyway, we only needed like a quarter turn. It's probably fine. If I have to adjust it again, that's okay. Here, I'm going to try and do this with these on, because getting the cable tie through is hard on your own, but we'll give it a crack. I'm going to break this off, wind it up to there. That's going to give us an extra 20 mil. So that should be 20 mil lower. And then I'll do the same on the other side. Check to see if they match using a stick and the body. That's as good as I've got around here. And then I will lower the backs again just a little bit, and just get everything settled level, and then I'll come back once that's all done. So see you in a sec. So there she is done. I reckon I'm going to leave it there. It's not super low, never meant to be super low. Just a good usable height, stiff suspension, good handling. It's already a very good handling car, so I didn't want to ruin that. Probably still needs tracking. I think the front's towing in slightly, but I'm not going to eyeball it any more than that. Slightly more rear camber than I'd want as well, but it's fine. And yeah, turns out the fitment stick is actually fine. So the way I've done it is just mocked it up on the wheel, lined it up with the body, and then matched off both sides. Got it as near as damn it. One for the front, one for the rear. yeah, good old fitment stick. Don't need much more than that really. A few more bits to tidy up, but yeah, she's golden. She's getting there. Happy days. We're not finished. Oh, of all the dumbass problems this could have been. Wheel is hitting on the sock. So I need to move the sock out of the way. You can see there where I've driven it slightly. So that is literally, that has enough clearance, but it's just catching on the sock. There we go. Nothing that can't be fixed with a cable tie. So all I've done is stuck a cable tie just about halfway up. Well, not halfway up, but up there anyway. And it's just pulled it off the tyre. So that is good enough. I'm going to do the other side because it is touching, and that should, fingers crossed, that should be that done. So last job for today, give the old girl a bath, because my god does she need one. And that's us done for the day. It's as good as it's gonna look. It doesn't get much cleaner than that, unfortunately. That's what 25 years of daily abuse gives it, but she scrubs up alright. I can't complain. But there we go.